Welcome back. It's all about Re-Akoto and those memorial lectures, and we're going to be delving into a bit of history as we discourse on this matter. We're joined by Dr. Kweku Ajiman-Budu, lawyer, law lecturer, and head of Law Center's Gimpa Faculty of Law. Doc, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
And good morning to your viewers.
Right. So we've done this 15 times. This would be the 16th edition. But just to situate it, because I'm sure some people would hear Re-Akoto, and wonder, what is all of this about? We have to go all the way back to 1959, right?
Yes, we have to go all the way back to 1959, some over 61 years ago, when on the 10th and 11th of November 1959, 8 persons, prominent amongst which was Baffour Osei Akoto, who was then a chief linguist for the Asantehene at the time. They were arrested and detained under what was referred to as the Preventive Detention Act of 1958. And this was an act that was passed by the Parliament of Ghana in the immediate aftermath of independence. And what this act sought to do was that it gave the power to the Governor General and then subsequently the President to detain persons who he was satisfied with that their future actions may be prejudicial to the security of the state. Or
even that their actions at the time would be inimical to the...
Yeah, not necessarily their actions. It was more of what they, or what the President or Governor General felt they would do in the future, because it's a preventive detention act. So you were detained to prevent you from doing certain things in the future if they felt those acts that you may engage in will be prejudicial to the security of the state. And so you could be detained for up to 5 years without being tried, without being brought before a court of competent jurisdiction. And so that's the whole genesis of this Re-Akoto case. Baffour Osei Akoto, together with about 7 persons, all of whom were in Kumasi. Some of them were lorry drivers, letter writers, auctioneers, and things of that sort. They were accused of having supported persons who were acting violently or encouraging them or associating therewith, so that their future actions will be prejudicial to the security of the state. So they were detained, and so obviously a case was brought, habeas corpus application was brought before the High Court to let the government justify why the detention was lawful. It wasn't successful, and then finally an appeal was brought to the Supreme Court of Ghana, and that's where this whole Re-Akoto case emanates from. The decision of the Supreme Court of Ghana essentially suggesting that the PDA was legal and lawful was where this whole thing comes from.
And so that is quite an interesting case, because later we would see, you know, on many years down the line, and in fact, after the Nkrumah era, we would see that in our constitution since then, 69, all the way to 1992, there are certain clauses on human rights, because that was seen to be something inimical to, you know, human rights in the country, and that is part of the thrust of all of this. But so having come to this point where, in fact, on the back of that case, there's a whole lot of history that we have built. We've had these memorial lectures for quite a while. Peter Ajete has spoken before, Professor Tuguba, among others. What can we expect in the 16th edition?
I mean, I think what you would expect in this 16th edition, especially because this 16th edition will be featuring as a main speaker the son of Baffour Osei Akoto, we would expect, and it's a reflection on the legacy of Baffour Osei Akoto. So being the son of such great nationalists, if we may put it that way, we expect him to sort of give us some intimate discussion or talk about his father in ways that many of us may not necessarily be aware of. So that's what we expect to see. But I think generally the themes around which, and you rightly point out that these lectures have had some heavyweights in the past, if we may put it that way. The current president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has also been, has delivered the Re-Akoto lectures in times past. So we should expect nothing less than putting the man and his legacy out there, so that people who do not necessarily know or haven't necessarily read about Re-Akoto and its legacy would be able to appreciate the man at the heart of the case in question.
Now, the theme is the legacy of Baffour Osei Akoto, a family man, chief statesman, and all of that. Apart from all of what you've mentioned, we'd also like to know what the timelines are and what people should look forward to come the day, apart from having his own son speak on the matter.
So it's a lecture that I believe will start at 10 a.m. this morning at the Great Hall of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. And so I believe it's from 10 to 12. So there are a number of speakers that have been lined up for this particular discussion or this particular lecture. So it's under the patronage of the Honorable Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, Justice Enin Yeboah, and the guest of honor is...
From what we see, he's going to be there, or is he going to have a representative?
We would have to wait and see. Maybe he will be there. We would also have the Right Honorable Aaron Michael Quay, former Speaker of Parliament, who will be the guest of honor. And also, we'll have obviously the main speaker, who's the Honorable Dr. Re-Akoto, who is the Minister of Agriculture. So these are persons that we expect, and obviously the acting director of the Ghana School of Law will also be there. These are the persons that are expected to talk a little bit in the lead up to the actual lecture that will be delivered by the Honorable Re-Akoto. So
all roads lead to the KNUST today, and the lecture is from 10 a.m. To noon. And as we've intimated, there are some big wigs that are featuring there. And of course, prominent among them, the son of Baffour Osei Akoto, that is the Agric Minister. He's going to be there himself. And as has been intimated by Dr. Kwaku Agyeman-Budu, hopefully we're going to hear things that we've never heard before, because this is the man's son. And he lived through the era as well. Parting words?
Parting words, I think we shouldn't lose sight of our history, especially, and you rightly point out that Re-Akoto has had an impact on our subsequent constitution. So, for instance, because of the fact that the Supreme Court of Ghana did not recognize Article 13 of the 1960 Constitution as constituting a Bill of Rights, in the sense of having enforceable human rights, subsequently, in 69 and 79, we now have entrenched provisions in the Constitution on fundamental human rights, so that it's no longer left at the whims and caprices of a president or any individual for that matter. So that's something we shouldn't lose sight of. Usually, we look back in hindsight and we do not understand some of the things that happened. Right now, we take for granted the rights that we have. But if we think about the fact that there was a time in our history when you could be detained for up to 5 years without being brought to court, and subsequently that 5 years could be renewed, let's just put it that way, then we start understanding the kind of liberties and freedoms that we're enjoying today. So I think that's what we should not lose sight of moving forward. These lectures should remind us of our past and strengthen us in our resolve to ensure that never again will we be subjected to such institutions or subjected to such things that are inimical to our development as a people.
Well, we've come far on the journey of human rights. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Agyeman-Budu. And we look forward to an exciting 2 hours as we have the 16th Re-Akoto lectures. Dr. Kwaku Agyeman-Budu is a lawyer, law lecturer, and head of law centers at GIMPA Faculty of Law. So from the legal standpoint, let's get to something else that has become a topical matter. We're getting to the Amasaman stretch, and there's quite a lot to be said there. Mamavio Owusu-Aboagye is standing by. We'll be bringing you the reality of the traffic situation there.